Yes. It's on. Oh my gosh.
Our reflection today will be offered by Beth Weaver.
I'm going to give a short Anglican prayer today. Lord, what we have not, give us. What we are not, make us. What we know not, teach us. To your glory we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Beth. I want to give a special shout out to Russell Robertson and Lee King, who put together a flag display at the country club for the St. Meyer charity golf outing, which benefits Folds of Honor, which provides educational scholarship for spouses and children of American fallen and disabled service members and first responders. So thank you to both of you for a nice display. Have Secretary Lynn and the Secretary's report.
Thank you, President Allen. Past President Don Noble has the traveling microphone, and we'll start with the room number.
I have two guests today. First guest is my wife, Sue. Second guest is my first friend, Jackie Keeper, who also happens to be wife of our president, Alan.
My guest today found us at the farmer's market table, where he greeted Alan down there. Now recruited him. Tim Sears is a pilot for Metro Lifeline.
Have you given an update from that sheriff?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. The past week was fun as usual. It was the start of fall, so it was really exciting because fall is my favorite season. And we don't really get fall in India, so it was my first time of experiencing it in real life. So that was pretty fun. And went to a birthday party with one of my school friends, so met a few people there. That was really fun. I went to the Wooster Fest, and yeah, that was very American experience. And there are like a few huge festivals going on back home in India, so I kind of miss being there at this time, but it's been great. It's been a fun week, and homecoming's coming up at the school, so that's been pretty exciting. It's my first time that I'm doing homecoming, so yeah. But looking forward to a lot of things right now, so that's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. We have three announcements from the podium: Ron Holman, Brent Rice, and Sandra Hall.
Most of you know the eminent Dr. Tony Vigil. I think he's over here. Tony, would you stand, please? This announcement is not about Tony. It's about his son, Gus, who was a Marine who served in Afghanistan at a place called Patrol Base JCAR. On October 18th at 12 noon at the Lyric Theater, there will be a documentary entitled Patrol Base JCAR, which was made at the time Gus's unit went to Afghanistan, and it chronicles his unit's success there in that province. The film, as I said, begins at noon. Gus will be there to introduce it, and he'll have a reception afterwards to sign books that a book that he has written about his experiences. Admission is free, but you do need to reserve a seat. So I encourage you, if you know veterans or if you just want to get away from watching the Ohio State football game, put it on record and come see this movie. It's an excellent documentary about a bunch of really good Marines. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yesterday afternoon, we had an informational session here at the church about Rotary Youth Exchange. And I want to thank Jill Monroe for helping to organize that event and giving much of the presentation. We had 5 prospective students in attendance. And we have the good news right now that we already have 3 applications started. Students from our part of the district that have been sponsored by our club. That's a good time to remind everybody here that we presently have 2 Worcester-sponsored outbound students. Mira Vlox is presently in France and reports that all is well. And Nico Ollier is in Poland and also off to a really good start with his exchange. Yesterday also, I want to thank President Allen and President-elect Marty for being present at the meeting. I think they were there as support. I don't think that they were hoping for exchange themselves because I'm afraid that you're not eligible any longer. But no, we appreciate that. We had a couple other past exchange students and past host family members who were present, including Alan's daughter, who drove up from Dublin to participate. And also I want to say thank you to Akshara and Momo, who both gave up time yesterday to be part of the presentation. And we really appreciate your helping out. So thanks, everyone, be aware. And also continually remember to talk with your friends, your neighbors, your colleagues. We continue to look for host families for this year as well as for future years. So help us spread the word about youth exchange, need for host families, as well as interested applicants, so we can serve these kids. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here to invite you to a Rotary evening at the Lyric. The new meeting will be canceled. The date is October 20th from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Lyric. Hors d'oeuvres by City Square Steakhouse, wine and popcorn, short movies on a loop. You'll be able to visit with your fellow Rotarians, bring your wife or spouse or friends, and come and see the Lyric and wander through. Thank you. Oh, forgot the sign-up sheet on your table. Sorry about that.
I have a short thing I'd like to do in celebration of 50 years of service to the Rotary Club of Worcester. I have a short bio of my good friend and fellow Rotarian, Arun Mather. First of all, Arun would like to commend all of you for being Rotarians. feels that Rotarians are caring and influential pillars in the community who make a real difference in the lives of people in Worcester and in the entire world. Generally, he says they strive to leave their campsite better than they found it. In 1968, the Vietnam War was in full swing and this country needed medical professionals. Seizing the opportunity and fresh out of medical school, Arun immigrated from New Delhi, India, with $8 in his pocket to train in Cleveland to become an ear, nose, and throat surgeon. Settling into Cleveland, Arun quickly found love with Sue, an Irish-American pediatric nurse to whom he has been married for 54 years. Shortly after their marriage, he received a 1A draft card, meaning he could be imminently conscripted into service, ostensibly as a medic. He never received that call, but remained eligible until the age of 37. But in 1973, the war was ending, and Arun with Sue and one-year-old Kevin in tow, the Mathers moved to Worcester to join Bill Schultz as partner in the Worcester ear, nose, and throat medical practice. In 1975, Bill sponsored Arun to become a member of the Rotary Club Worcester. This was the beginning of Arun's 50-plus years and counting of medical, philanthropic, and hands-on service to Worcester and surrounding communities. True to his unassuming form, Arun's impact on the community remains one of Worcester's best-kept secrets. The drive phase of Arun's working life was marked by frequent sleepless nights, of emergency medical and surgical services, and a devotion to attending and supporting Wooster Rotary. Serving all of Wayne, Holmes, and Ashland County as the only EMT for many years, he was outnumbered by thousands of sick noses and throats and twice as many ears. Truth be told, Arun would be lucky to catch a nap anywhere and everywhere. He could be called out at any time to remove an amazing assortment of objects that had a proclivity to lodge in people's throats. Additionally, he repaired a lot of facial trauma, performed a lot of surgery for head and neck cancer, and treated a host of other medical problems. He has served as chief of surgery, as well as chief of the medical staff. In his 32 years and counting, he has been instrumental in the success of Worcester Community Hospital and has seen it grow from 28 doctors to 106 with 47 specialties. Arun is also one of the founding members of the Worcester Ambulatory Surgery Center. In addition to saving lives, Arun and Sue also created 3 wonderful and beloved sons. Brian, a neuroscientist, Dan, an architect, and Kevin, who joined the Worcester ear, nose, and throat practices, only the 4th ENT in the 78-year history of that practice. During those prime years, Arun served as a grunt at the Rotary auction and later moved to running the drug auction. His family hosted 2 Rotary exchange students, Maria Blix from Sweden and Carolina Braga from Brazil. Both were loved as daughters and sisters in the Mather home and enriched the diversity of the equally welcoming, broader Worcester community. Arun loves to go to work, play tennis, paint with oils and acrylics, and his latest hobby is trying to master the sewing machine. But he finds it's much easier to sew skin than it is to sew cloth. Arun feels very blessed to have 2 grandsons, 2 granddaughters, 2 grandcats, and 1 granddog in his immediate family. And he enjoys his international extended family as well. As far as his Wooster Rotary family is concerned, he hopes to enjoy the fellowship and to serve alongside them for years to come. Arun, your name is inscribed in this hall and back wall, and your name will also be on the plaque in Oak Hill. Arun Mather. Now I'd like to call to the microphone Phil Mariola.
Thank you, President Allen. In the interest of their full disclosure, I need to tell you, the remarks I'm about to make were written by Bob Gorman, past president. And he's just not feeling well today, so he asked me to fill in. So here goes. Once again today, we are taking a few moments to honor those who have served this club for a milestone number of years, and for those whose vital contributions to the Rotary International Foundation have hit certain markers. The Paul Harris Fellow is one of the most historic and long-standing honors in Rotary. Rotary is the brainchild of Paul Harris, a Chicago businessman who gathered a group of friends in Chicago in 1905 and decided to form a civic organization to make a difference in Chicago and in the world. Just a few years later, in 1917, Arch Clump, a Cleveland Rotarian who had become president of Rotary International, announced the creation of an endowment, quote, for the purpose of doing good in the world. That endowment, seeded with an initial gift of $26.50 from Arch Clump, has developed into a $1.5 billion beneficial behemoth known as the Rotary Foundation. I said 1.5 billion with a B. Through its history, Rotary has strived to use the foundation's resources to meet the moment. Today, the fund's income is used to reduce world hunger, improve public health, promote exchange programs and other educational opportunities, increase literacy, and support other life-saving and life-affirming initiatives. As Rotarians, you are all part of this effort through the annual Every Rotarian Every Year campaign. And your dollars contributed through that campaign are the financial lifeblood of the Rotary Foundation. After you have contributed $1,000 in your lifetime, you receive recognition as a Paul Harris Fellow. There are some other ways to obtain a Paul Harris Fellow, but all awards are tied either to your personal contributions or someone else contributing to the foundation and electing to credit the points to you. Wooster Rotary has long been proud of our Paul Harris membership numbers, as it is a signal of long-term commitment to the ideals of Rotary. Today, we have the pleasure of welcoming a new Paul Harris Fellow, as well as recognizing members who have achieved new Paul Harris Fellow milestones after many years of giving. Joel Montgomery receives his Paul Harris Fellow Initial Award. Joel, please come forward for your certificate and Paul Harris Fellow pin. We also honor Tom Rumbaugh for receiving his Paul Harris Fellow +1 award. Tom, come forward, please. The Plus Awards are for Rotarians. The Plus Award is for Rotarians who have earned a Paul Harris Fellow previously and have since made contributions that entitle them to another Paul Harris Fellow Award. Tom will receive a pin with 1 blue stone. Several members have achieved Paul Harris Fellow +2 status and will receive a pin with 2 blue stones. Please come forward. Dan Freeman, Tom Hilton, Don Noble, Frank Relly, and Chuck Frosty. You're here. And we also have a +3 award to give to Paul Serpentini. I don't know if Paul's here today. Paul, you here? No? Okay. Well, we want to take a few moments to congratulate many of our members in hitting milestone anniversary dates of their tenure in Rotary, Wooster Rotary, and reflecting many hours of commitment to the club, both inside and outside of these 4 walls. Let's start with the 5-year awardees. Please come forward. Diana Everidge, James Fox, Amy Heller, Angela Lichty, Steve Nichols, Micah Nuzum, and Helen Walker. If you're here. Marking 10 years of service is Josie Weaver Krantz. Congratulations, Josie. Please come forward. Dan Freeman, are you here? Dan is celebrating 30 years as a Rotarian. Marking 40 years as a Rotarian is Chuck Sprosky. Chuck, would you please come forward if you're here? Chuck's not here? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Phil. Now let me introduce Cheryl Boyer, who will introduce our speaker.
Good afternoon. Very pleased today to introduce and bring to you 2 fellow Wayne County Schools Career Center staff members, Lynette Boggs and David Duff. So Lynette and her husband of almost 39 years reside in Orville. They'll have that anniversary next month. Also part of their home is a bulldog named Fergus, who from what I understand pretty much runs the roost. Husband Mike is the lead pastor at Crossroads Academy of God in Preston, and Lynn serves there as the co-director of the Inheritance Women's Ministries. They have a daughter, Ashley, who's 36. She's the office manager at Christie Beals State Farm Insurance in Wadsworth. Son-in-law, Ryan Baker, with Baker's Landscaping and Design. She has 2 grandchildren, Liam, who's 10, Quinn, who's 5. They also live in that Seville Cloverleaf area and attend Cloverleaf schools. And some interesting things about Lynette: she enjoys spending time with family and friends, boating, fishing, swimming, shooting. She enjoys music, plays the sax, bass, and piano. And an especially interesting fact that I didn't know, she collects fountain pens and knives. So please help me give a warm Rotary welcome to Lynette and David.
Thank you all for the invitation today. I greatly appreciate your hospitality. It has been wonderful to be here today. And Cheryl had asked me to come and speak about the makings of career and technical educators and share my story. And I invited David along with me as well. So you'll see how that fits in. but we really appreciate your invitation and your time that you've given us today. Just want to start out by asking, how many of you remember being asked the question, what do you want to do when you grow up? We've all been asked that, and I'm sure you have asked it to your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors' kids. You know, that's always one of the first questions you ask a little one. What do you want to do when you grow up? And you get all kinds of answers. You get things from, I want to be a doctor, you know, or I want to be a nurse or a dancer, or maybe even a teacher. And when you hear that, I want to be a teacher, most everybody around us understands the pathway to becoming a regular teacher, right? You go to college for 4 years, you have your specialty, and you go and you find out, oh, maybe I want to teach in an elementary school. Maybe I want to teach in a middle school, maybe a university, you know, and you take that pathway. But for career in tech ed, it's a little bit different. We're a little bit different than the regular normal educator pathway. I'm sure if I asked all of you, has anybody ever said to you, I want to be a career and technical educator? Probably no one is going to raise their hand and say, yes, that's me. In fact, that wasn't even me, David, when we grew up. And so I just want to share with you what that looks like. What we do is we hire folks at the Career Center that are experts in their trade field. You know, they're a subject matter expert. And then that they have to have a passion for educating and for teaching someone else that trade. You know, a lot of folks that we get, they're names of folks that are in industries that are recognized. And a lot of them have received awards from their prospective industries for being professionals in their areas. But none of them ever started out saying, I wanted to teach either. So what we do is we take those folks that have a desire to teach, and we put them through a structured mentorship program along with college, but it's very abbreviated college that they're taking. And what they're taking is more focused courses. They don't have to learn to become a mathematician because they're already, if they're teaching carpentry, they're already a master carpenter. Or if they're teaching machining, they may be a journeyman machinist. So they have their content area down. So it does not, we don't have to teach them their subject matter. We have to teach them how to teach. So with that abbreviated program through universities, the teachers as students in colleges, they're taking courses that will help them learn how to basically create a lesson plan, how to manage a classroom, how to appropriately assess that a student knows what they really have to grasp their understanding of what they're doing. So it's quite a different mode for career and technical education. But Cheryl asked for me to share my story. And as I look back, you know, like I said, I wasn't that kid that said, I want to be a teacher. No, you know, when I was really little, I wanted to be a geologist. I know that sounds weird, right? You don't hear that from a little kid very often, but my mom worked in oil and gas industry. So I was around geologists a lot, and I thought it was super cool to be able to go into their office. They got to play with rocks all day, and I loved rocks and fossils as a little kid. So when I was very small, that's what I wanted to do. But then I look back and I say that, well, that didn't really affect my career path. But you know what did? My father. And I'm sure many of you can say, maybe your parents or maybe a relative influenced your career path, possibly. So with me, it was my father. My dad worked 2 jobs most of my time when I was in elementary school, just to keep us afloat as a family. So when Daddy had time, his little girl was in his shop with him. And what I did was, this man had to have tons of patience because, you know, here I am, a little kid, but he would set me up a little place on his workbench. I'd have my own little tools, and he would give me what I needed. I could draw, which I love to do. I love to draw. And so I would draw, I would make something up, and I'd say, Daddy, can we make this? And of course, you know, here he is fixing things all the time because he's got 2 jobs. And here I am just in his workshop, probably getting under his feet, to be honest with you. But he was patient with me, and he would take his time out. He would show me how to do things. And this is really where my background came from. I went and I learned to draw. I learned to make things. I mean, for most kids, you go in a shop or a wood shop and you hear things running. It's terrifying for most small children. But for me, it was like a place of comfort because that's where I got my dad to myself, you know, I could be out there, I could do things with him. And it was our together time. So I would encourage you, take time with your children, your grandchildren. Maybe it is a little bit of a pain, you know, having them in the middle of when you're busy trying to do something, but you don't know how that is really going to influence them and their life choices. You really don't. So how did I get to the Career Center? Well, this started when I was in actually that 8th grade, when I got to go to 8th grade visits at the Career Center. I remember back then it was junior high, not middle school. We actually had junior high back in the day. So I went to junior high, and how many Orville folks do I have here? Any Orville? Yes. So you probably remember Mrs. Schilling, maybe possibly if you were within that grade period. And if you remember, we would always go, we did 8th grade visits at the Career Center. And I remember at the same time, I was in Mrs. Schilling's class, and we were getting ready to write our autobiographies, which was a major undertaking. You had the fear of God put in you for that one, because you always knew when you got to 8th grade, you had to write an autobiography. And everybody was really nervous about that. But anyway, I digress. But I went to these 8th grade visits, and I went to the Career Center that I knew nothing about, not a thing. And I get there and I walk into this magical room called drafting, where there are all these teenagers sitting at these drafting tables and drawing all day long. And they're telling me I can get paid to draw pretty pictures all day. I thought, you know what? This is for me. Then they start talking a little bit more, and they're like, these drawings that we make, these are designs that people will be building. And I'm like, I am all in at that point, right? Because I'm all about building things and doing those types of things. So I came back all energized from that visit at the Career Center. I wrote my 8th grade biography from Mrs. Schilling, the line, I want to be a drafter and go to the Career Center when I go to high school. And I look back on that still today and I'm like, wow, how prophetic. Because that is exactly what I did. Sophomore year came around, and I was at Orville High School, and a student there, I was in band. I loved band. I was your quiet. Can you imagine me being quiet? I'm kind of chatty up here, but I was quiet. I was a geeky little nerd. I was some teeny tiny little skinny thing that doesn't look anything like this today. But I was that quiet band kid. And this was a big life choice for me to get out of my element to head over to the Career Center. But I made the leap because I thought this is really what I want to do. And I had heard that businesses pay for your college sometimes. And I knew I needed to, you know, if I wanted to go to school, I was going to have to make that happen. So I did. I made the leap. I went over to the Career Center and I didn't look back. That's what I did. So I was very fortunate that that the first week or so went well. I'm sitting in there and I'm no longer Lynn Yoder at that point, the quiet, geeky band kid. I'm just Lynn Yoder. And I'm in a room full of people that love the same thing that I do. We're all on an equal footing, right? Because kids come there from all over. So I thought, this is great. I'm loving this. And I got to remember my first drawing I had to turn in. I was so excited. I couldn't wait because Lynn Yoder always got A's, okay? Because I was good at academics. When I got to the Career Center, I about died. I got that first drawing back and it wasn't his name. And I was crushed. I thought, am I going to jeopardize my status and my standing at school? Because, you know, I was in the running for being in the top grads. And I thought, no, you know, Mr. Douglas told me we have to practice. We've got to practice. We've got to get better. We've got to persist. I'm going to tell you that is the one thing. Well, the Career Center instilled many things in me, but one was grit and persistence. I had to buckle down and have work harder than I had ever worked to become that A student again. Got to tell you though, I was really happy that I was able to pull the A in the first 9 weeks. But it did take a lot of extra work. But it taught me persistence. It taught me leadership. I was very involved in Skills USA. Back then it was called VICA, and that's some of the pictures you'll see up there in the black and white photos. But Skills USA or VICA taught us leadership skills. That's where I was in speaking competitions. That's where I was in trade competitions. You know, at your home school district, you get to play sports and compete, right? But at the Career Center, they compete with other career centers in trade areas. So drafting, engineering, you know, welding, they have competitions that even go to the national and international levels. So I was really excited about being in drafting. I was really excited to kind of explore speaking because I never had the ability to do that before. And I thought, you know what, I'm starting all these new things. Why not try this? And I did. And I really, really enjoyed it. So the Career Center just taught me so many things. You'll see a picture up there of me sitting over a drafting table. That's what I was able to do. I was able to co-op and start working at other businesses and industries around the area that they would take students in. And thankfully, Ohio's laws allow for that, that you can work in industry when you're underage. And I worked in companies like Rubbermaid during my co-op periods for externship placement. I also worked at, back in the day, Crown Steel. Worked at Crown Steel for that as well. Worked at some other companies. After I graduated, I went on, worked at Akron Brass for a while. Worked for the Steiner brothers. I was blessed enough to work for Roy and Glenn Steiner for many years and their companies in various forms. Really enjoyed that time with them and learned so much. I went on to work then also at a company up in the Canton area that did millwright work for steel mills. So I did a lot of engineering design work in those areas as well. And then later in my career, went to the Wayne Dalton Corporation and worked in both rolling door division, the DSI division, and then down at corporate office. So my pathway has taken me quite a few different places. And then when I was at Wayne Dalton, I got the word that my teacher was retiring. There was an opening at our school. And it was partway through the year. Someone had come and it just wasn't a career fit for them. And so I heard about this and I'm like, oh man, I gotta get this, I'm gonna put back in. I think it would be awesome to try to give back to the place that gave me so much. You know, because if it wasn't for the Career Center, I wouldn't have got my associate's degree, I wouldn't have got my bachelor's degree, you know, wouldn't have got all the certifications that I had received. And I thought, man, what an opportunity to maybe influence kids like I was influenced, you know, maybe be that influencer for someone else. And I interviewed on the 9/11. That's a day I will never forget. I sat around that table with a host of people and an interview team that was in tears. But I'm very happy to report I did receive that job. And I started in October of that year. And I taught the drafting program that eventually morphed into the engineering program because, as you know, careers change. The manual drafting career is long gone and has long been replaced. So we morphed that program into an engineering technologies program. I taught in the classroom for over 10 years. And then I was approached and asked, hey, would you consider going into administration and getting your principal's license and finishing your master's? And I'm like, sure, I'll do that. Sounds like something that I would like to do and maybe get to influence things on a different level, you know? So was blessed to be able to do that. I've been in administration for over 10 years. And then most recently, when Miss Mumau was promoted to superintendent of our school system, I was blessed to get the director of operations position that she formerly had, and then to step into her shoes. But it has been quite the ride. You never know where your career is going to take you. But all of my career and all of those places that I've been has been just because of Career Tech Ed. And I've been really blessed to say that after, when I moved up into administration, I'm able to kind of pass this torch on now to someone else. This morning, I've got David Duffy with me here. David was with me while I was a teacher. He's one of my former students in the engineering program. And I get to pass the torch on to him. And he is now becoming a career and technical educator. David just started with us. He is a brand new, and we are very fortunate and blessed to have him on board. And I'm really, like I said, I feel like he's kind of continuing on that legacy. And I wanted him just to share a little bit about his journey with you as well, to becoming that particular educator. If you don't mind, David, come on up.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us out here today. My name is David, and I'm a former student of Mrs. Boggs. I grew up attending Oroville and later the Career Center, where I had the privilege of having Mrs. Boggs, my engineering instructor. On a similar path as her, my interest in the Career Center kind of started early with my oldest brother. He was going through the precision machining program at the time, where that was when I was in middle school still, so I had no idea what I wanted to do. You know, I'm still seeing different career paths, but he would always bring home all the cool projects, all the technical stuff. Growing up, my father was an electrical engineer. My brother was a machinist. So we were always up to some cool stuff at the house. But I started to look at the different programs and I decided on engineering technologies because it provided so many opportunities from the college credits offered, from being involved in Skills USA, and then even those early placement opportunities that the Career Center provides for the students. So through the program, I gained the skills needed to go on early job placement at Scheffler, where I later entered their apprenticeship program. Finished that up to be a journeyman electrician. I went from Scheffler to Timken Steel. I left Timken Steel as a senior automation technician there. I had a really great experience there. I just wanted something a little closer to home, starting a family. I'm an Oroville guy too. So I went back to Scheffler and I spent many years there in the stamping department as an electrician there. When I heard about the opening at the Career Center for Industrial Maintenance, I was really nervous about applying because I've had a lot of apprentices, a lot of trainees through the years, but just that classroom setting, the lesson planning, classroom management, those are all things that are new to me and those weren't in my wheelhouse. But with the awesome mentorship that the Career Center provides and extending those college classes to continue education, I know you kind of touched on the express route for that. It's wildly beneficial and I'm super happy with my decision. And I think the Rowan County Career Center has opened a lot of doors for me. And that's what made me want to give back to my community by coming back as the career tech instructor. So I want to thank you all for your time.
Was there any questions that anybody might have of either of us? Really happy to answer anything you may have. Please.
I'm just really interested. I work at the College of Wooster, very traditional liberal arts 4-year degree, and we're seeing a waning in demographics and enrollments due to the cost of higher education. Are you going to have a career after you graduate? I'm curious if your enrollment trends and at the Career Center and what you see moving and what you see as the future that is most popular for students right now.
Well, as far as enrollment, the sophomore population across Wayne County is steadily declining, okay? And that is who we look to bring in. We only work with juniors and seniors. So although those numbers across the county and that demographic is starting to dip, we've been very blessed that our enrollment is staying steady with a little slight increase. So we're pretty happy about that. As far as new technology and programming that we're having at the Career Center, we've been addressing some newer industries, such as we started a cybersecurity program this last year. Also, within the adult education realm, we also started a new HVAC fast track technician program. So I think the trends that you're seeing nowadays are going more to those shorter technical type programs and offerings that are the smaller certificated type instead of the 4-year. At least that's what we have been addressing in ours. Other rising industries that are coming out, you know, that are a little further north of us. The nice thing about career tech is it really focuses on your regional area. So when we develop programming, we try to develop programming that is regional, that are needs within our particular area. Yes, we look outside of Ohio, but we really focus, on Wayne County and our surrounding counties. So that's why we're looking at the cybersecurity. That's why we looked at HVAC. We just started David's program. We used to have an old electronics program. We have now just morphed into an industrial maintenance program that he's now teaching because Wayne County needs are high on industrial maintenance technicians. So we're kind of focusing our programming in those particular areas. Now, areas further north of us or further east, I know that there's folks that are trending and they're looking at the EV and also the fuel cell type technologies. But that's more over in the Mahoney County areas and further up north as well. I hope that answers your question.
I would add to that just a little bit. When Lynn talked about going to industrial maintenance technologies, why did we do that? Because every one of our programs has an advisory committee made up of local businesses, and that was directly from them. In addition, we are starting an RN program with the adult ed again, because the need to take our LPNs to RN, and then due to community demand, we are also starting a fire and EMT program that will be here next year. So those are just some additions.
Yes.
Could you address the percentage of job placements that you're seeing, you've seen the past few years? Percentage of students that are able to find a job?
Yes, so we do have those figures. I don't have them with me, but Kristen might bail me out on this a little bit. I'm hoping she does, and I'm getting her right off the cuff here. Kristen's our work-based learning coordinator. I'm thinking we had over 70, we have qualifications for students to go out for placement. And please correct me if I'm wrong. We had over, I believe, 70 seniors that qualified, okay, for placement, which means that they can leave during the school day to work. That means they've got to have they have to have at least a B in their trade. They have to have 95% attendance. Am I, okay, keep me on track. And they also have to have their trade has to be a B, but their overall academics, they have to be at a C+ level. Okay, that means we will release them from school to work. Now, we have many more students than that are working, but those are the ones that we can release from school during their senior year or at the end of their junior year to go start working during school hours. I hope that answers kind of your question a little bit. After they graduate, yes, we do have, I know, and I don't have them with me. We do have a good percentage. We have some of our metrics that we do report. We have to do back through the state has those percentages in them, but I apologize. I don't have them, but I will get that and have Lynn report back for you next time.
It's over 90% if you include both work, going to college, or enlisted in the military.
There you
So it's over 90% of those.
This is why she's superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you, and I have to say that we've had great success and we've been very, very pleased with the graduates in our office. So in appreciation for your coming and spending the time to talk with us, we have the Rotary 4-way test on your back and Rotary seal, and we appreciate you coming today. Thank you. Hearing nothing else, we stand adjourned.